All right, let's look at the next one. It talks about a rectangular solid. The length is 5 meters, so that's the length. The width is 3.2 meters, so that's the width. And the height is 4 meters, so that's the height. Find the volume of the solid. So it's the volume of a rectangular solid. And we know that formula is length times width times height. Again, I don't care if you have the picture on this one. I'm probably going to stop doing the pictures, honestly. I also want to label my units. Everything's in terms of meters, so I know it has to be meters, but it is volume, so I know it has to be meters cubed. So I've labeled my variables, I've written my formula, I've labeled my answer. Now I need to plug in the numbers. So my volume here would be the length, 5, times the width, 3.2, times the height, which is 4. Plug that into your calculator now, please. Let's see what you get. I'm getting a total of 64, and then again, that's our units cubed because it's volume, so that would be 64 cubic meters or meters cubed. Let's look at example 3 here. It says the radius of the base of a cone is 8 centimeters, so 8 centimeters is my radius. The height of the cone is 12 centimeters. Remember, we do need the height, not the slant height. Find the volume of the cone. So that tells me what I need to find. I need to find the volume of a cone, and we know the formula for the volume of a cone is 1/3 pi r squared h. Again, that's written on our notes, on our note card if we have it, or committed to our memory. Let's think about the units. Everything's in terms of centimeters. It is volume, so it needs to be centimeters cubed, or cubic centimeters. I've labeled my variables, I've written my formula, I've labeled my answer. Now let's plug in the numbers. So this is going to be 1/3 pi times r squared, which would be 8 squared, times h, which would be 12. Throw that into your calculator, and look, it does say that it wants us to round to the nearest hundredth. So you're going to have to hit the double arrow button on your calculator yet again to get the approximate answer instead of the exact answer. Let's see what you get. I'm getting 804.25. And again, that's our units cubed, so in this case, centimeters cubed. So 804.25 cubic centimeters. Continuing on to example 4, it says the side length of the base of a square pyramid is 15 meters, and the height of the pyramid is 25 meters. Find the volume of the pyramid. So here we have the base is going to be 15, the height is 25. We're finding the volume of a pyramid, so let's think about that formula. Volume of a pyramid, look it up if you don't have it written down already, is 1/3 times the side squared times the height. Let's think about the units. Everything is measured in terms of meters, so it's going to be meters. It's volume, so it's got to be cubed. So we've labeled our variables, we've written our formula, we've labeled our answer. Now what we want to do is plug in those numbers. So the volume is going to be 1/3 times the side length, which was 15 squared, times that height, which was 25. So put in 1/3 times 15 squared times 25 into your calculator. Let's see what you get. I'm getting 1875. Again, that's whatever my unit is, which was meters cubed. Put that in the final answer blank. 1875, or 1,875 cubic meters. All right. So those problems are all pretty simple. I do want to remind you that on this test, I'm going to do more examples that are applications. So 5 and 6 here represent really good test problems. I want you to remember this. 5 and 6, the application problems, are more indicative of what's on the test, not the basic problems that we just did. So let's look at 5 together. It says an oil tanker is in the shape of a cylinder that is 4 meters high and has a diameter of 6 meters. So I have a height, 4 meters. I have a diameter of 6 meters. It says the oil tank is 2/3 full. Find the number, so I'm gonna highlight that because that's pretty important, right? 2/3 full, 2/3 full. Okay, so it says find the number of cubic meters of oil in the tank, round to the nearest hundredth of a cubic meter. Okay, so first of all, we're finding the volume of a cylinder. So what's the formula for the volume of a cylinder? The volume of a cylinder is pi r squared h. So you need to know that one for sure. Make sure that's in your note card or in your memory. Let's think about the units here. The units here, everything is measured in terms of meters, so the answer is going to have to be meters, but it's volume, so it would be meters cubed. And then let's think about what we need here. What we need is the radius and the height, and what we're given is the diameter and the height. So what we have to do is, look, the diameter equals 6. That tells me that the radius is that diameter, which is 6 divided by 2, so that'd be 3 meters. So that's my R value that I'm going to plug into the formula. So let's go ahead and, now that we've identified the variables we need, we've identified the formula, we've labeled the answer, let's go ahead and plug in our numbers here. So the volume of the full cylinder is going to be pi times R, which is 3 squared times H. H here in this case is 4, right? Okay. So let's look at this, and I'm getting a volume of the entire cylinder is 36 pi. That would be the exact answer, and remember, we never want to estimate into the end, so do not estimate yet. This is our answer as of now. Now we need to go back and look and think, what did it say? Well, it said it's not the whole tank, it's only 2/3 full. So we found the volume of the whole tank. So what do we do to find 2/3 of the tank? We find 2/3 of the volume, and that would be 2/3 times, well, our volume was 36 pi. So in this case, I'm getting what? 2/3 of 36 is 24 pi is what my calculator is giving me. We read the question, and it says it wants it rounded to the nearest hundredth being 2 decimal places. So if I put that into my calculator and approximate it to 2 decimal places, please do the same. Let's see what you're getting. I'm getting 75.4. Again, it's our units, meters cubed. So put that in the final answer blank, 75.4 cubic meters. Excellent application problem there. We found the volume of the cylinder, but we realized it was only 2/3 full. So at the end, we had to multiply by 2/3 and then round properly. If you rounded early, you most likely wouldn't have the correct final answer. So if you're off by a decimal point or 2, what you most likely did, almost certainly, is you rounded early. Never round until the end. Okay, number 6, it says a silo in the shape of the cylinder is 16 feet in diameter. So 16 feet is our diameter, and it's a cylinder. Okay, and the height is 30. So the height is 30 here. Let's continue on reading. It says the silo is 3/4 full. Find the volume of the silo that is not being used for storage. So this one's even a little more tricky. If it's 3/4 full, that implies that it's 1/4 empty. And what it wants is the volume of the portion that is not being used. In other words, it wants the 1/4 that is empty. So what's going to be our strategy? Our strategy is going to be find the volume of the entire thing, and then it just wants to know that small part that's empty, so we need to do 1/4 of the volume of that tank to find out what is not used. Okay, again, this is the volume of a cylinder that we're looking at. And the volume for a cylinder, the formula for that is pi r squared h. Okay, we've identified our variables kind of. Let's think about the units. The units here is feet, but because it's volume, we're talking about feet cubed, so we've labeled our units. So let's think about the variables we need. Height we have, radius we don't. We have the diameter, so we need to do some work for that. So the diameter equals 16 tells me that the radius is half of that, which would be 8. So that's my radius. That's what I'm going to plug into the formula. So now I've identified my formulas, I've identified my variables, I've labeled my answer, so let's plug in the numbers and get the actual value here. So the volume here would be pi times the radius, which was 8, squared times the height, and again the height was 30. Plug that into your calculator, I'm getting 1920 pi as an exact answer. Remember, this isn't our final answer, so we don't round yet. Never round until the end. So step back and think, what did we want? We didn't want the whole cylinder. We wanted 1/4 of the volume, 1/4 of the cylinder, which is just that empty portion, right? So that would be 1/4 times the 1920 pi. Go ahead and put that into your calculator. When I put that into my calculator, I'm getting 480 pi. That would be the exact answer. I read and it says nearest hundredth, so I know I need to use 2 decimal places. When I use 2 decimal places and I round, please double check my math, I'm getting 1057.96. And again, that's our units, which is feet cubed. So 1,507. One sec, let me write that. 1507.96 feet cubed. So 1,507.96 cubic feet.